What in tarnation?
Well, we did it. We survived another hiatus. As a new season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fast approaches, I'd like to share with you a list of things I would like to see happen in this upcoming season. But first, I would just like to take a moment to look back over Season 6 and see how the events that unfolded compared with my wish list for that season. An awful lot happened last season, too much to fully review, but here's some fun highlights. A new baby alicorn named Flurryheart was born that wreaked havoc on the Crystal Empire. Starlight reunited with Sunburst and confronted her past misdeeds. And for the first time in present-day Equestria, both Princess Celestia and Luna were present to assist during a crisis. Pinkie Pie learned that the act of giving out of love is far more important than what is actually given. The CMCs tried to figure out what to do now that they have their cutie marks, and Apple Bloom went on a journey of self-discovery. Spike finally stepped up and saved Equestria from almost certain war with the dragons. Starlight made friends with an old enemy, much to Twilight's dismay. Rainbow Dash became a master impressionist, and dealt with some past demons while learning the hard way how to become a team player. Starlight learned about the true meaning of Hearthwarming Eve. Rarity successfully launched a new third boutique in Manhattan, thanks in no small part to all her friends. Applejack fixed some pipes at the spa and learned how to be Applejack again? Applejack, what are you doing? Applejack, stop! Fluttershy finally showed her inner strength by putting her hoof down on her brother's freeloading lifestyle. Rarity and Pinkie Pie helped save a restaurant from the clutches of blandness and conformity. Rainbow Dash fulfilled her second life goal, showing off with her hero, Daring Do. Oh, and Quibblepants taught us how to respect differences of opinion. The CMCs made their big sisters stop living vicariously through them and let them run the Applewood Derby in their own way. Rainbow Dash learned the hard way how far is too far when it comes to pranks. Spike found and made friends with a good changeling and nearly brought us to tears with his first real song. Discord took a major step forward by making friends with some pony other than Fluttershy. In an unexpected twist, Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy beat Rainbow Dash and Applejack at a physical sport. Oh, and Snails became a Zen master. The newly cutie marked Crusaders took their first big step forward by helping the nicest Griffin ever figure out her own special talent. Applejack, with Fluttershy's help, was able to put aside a personal grudge and help ponies in need that had wronged her and her family in the past. Starlight learned that it's not a good idea to magically brainwash others into being your friend. Applejack, Pinkie Pie, and Rarity learned that friendships are far too valuable to throw away over a simple misunderstanding. And Pirate Applejack happened. We finally learned why Applejack is so honest, and why Big Mac stays so quiet. Twilight and Rainbow Dash helped two friends to be honest with each other and themselves so that they could become even better, friends. And finally, in a strange turn of events, the unlikely team of Starlight, Trixie, Discord, and Thorax banded together to foil Queen Chrysalis's evil plan and save not only Equestria, but the changeling race itself. Now let's take a look at my personal wishlist items for Season 6. First up is family. I had said that I wanted to see more of the main six's family this past season, and to a certain degree, I got my wish. We got to see Twilight's parents, who finally had a few voiced lines at the end of the season premiere. We got to see Maud Pie again, which is always a treat. We got to meet Fluttershy's parents and her brother, for better or worse. Rarity's family appeared to be all together again at Hearthwarming Eve, which I was happy to see, since they haven't been seen much lately. Unfortunately, Rainbow Dash's family still has not been revealed in any way. Some have thought that the background character known as Rainbow Blaze was her father, but this is not confirmed. And also, we still have not gotten to find out what happened to Applejack's parents. I was really thinking there would be some sort of hint about them in Where the Apple Lies, but sadly, there was not. Next up was the Applejack Soul Song. This wish I did not get. Applejack did sing Seeds of the Past, which was a great song, but it wasn't technically her character, and also wasn't the type of song I was looking for. Still, with Season 7 ahead of us, I feel like it's only a matter of time until she gets her moment. That said, as a consolation prize, we did get the song Out on My Own, where Apple Bloom poured out her heart to us and created one of the most touching moments of this past season. Next up is the Cutie Mark Crusaders. This is technically a miss as well. They did not go beyond Ponyville like I had hoped, but they made a huge step by helping Gabby figure out what her special talent was. It seems that they are adjusting well to their new role, and I can't wait to see what kind of adventures are waiting for them in the future. Next up is Spike. I really wanted to see Spike get a real shot this season, and boy did he ever. Upon hearing that a new dragon was going to come into power as Dragon Lord, and knowing that most of the candidates were planning on inflicting harm upon Equestria and his friends, he took it upon himself to compete for the title of Dragon Lord himself. He not only succeeded, but did so without the help of his friends, while also sharing the magic of friendship with his fellow dragons. Spike also stepped up by standing up in defense of Thorax, the first good changeling we've seen, and later on, Spike showed great maturity by befriending Discord. Also, let's not forget that back in the season premiere, Spike made sure to not let his fan worshipping in the Crystal Empire get in the way of making sure that he helped Starlight complete her friendship lesson with Sunburst. I'm very happy to see that Spike is finally getting the credit he deserves. Next up, another miss, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. We only saw these two in cameo appearances in On Your Marks, and Diamond Tiara again in a cameo role in The Cart Before the Ponies. It was very disappointing to not see any follow-up with these characters this season, because after the events of Crusaders of the Lost Mark, I feel that we are far from done with their story. The cutie map, thankfully, did continue as a plot device in Season 6. That said, I still feel like that its potential is underutilized. Still, it did lead to some great one-off friendship lessons, and overall, I like the cutie map adventures from this season even better than the last. Sadly, most of my background character wishes did not come true. We did not get to see Zecora this season, other than a cameo appearance in On Your Marks, and Lightning Dust did not appear at all except for an appearance on a poster on the wall in the Wonderbolt's locker room. Gilda only appeared in a flashback in The Fault in Our Cutie Marks, and Iron Will wasn't mentioned anywhere at all. However, Trixie not only made a return appearance, but actually managed to become a recurring character with a role of great significance. She found a great friend in Starlight Glimmer, and was also instrumental in saving Equestria from the Changelings in the season finale. While I didn't expect anything quite so dramatic, I did indeed get my wish by getting to see that she actually is reformed, as that was unclear after the events of Magic Duel in Season 3. My musical pony's wish is another mixed result. I was really hoping we'd see another appearance of Calatura, which obviously did not happen, but we did get multiple appearances of Vinyl Scratch, aka DJ Pone3, and we got to finally see her in her element as a DJ in a dance club in Manhattan. The Power Ponies obviously did not show up, and I honestly have my doubts that they will ever make a return appearance in the show. I'm really not too sad about this one though, because I knew it was quite a stretch, and there were plenty of great moments this past season that more than made up for it. And last but not least, with a final miss, I'm afraid we did not get a slice of life episode for Princess Celestia this season. However, she was certainly not invisible this last season. We actually got to see her in action right in the season premiere as she and Luna fought to hold back the Winter Storm in the Crystal Empire. Also, we got to see a brief moment of her acting rather unprincess-like in the stinger scene at the end of No Second Prances. So, there were a few hits as well as a few misses in regards to my wish list. The biggest disappointment for me was the lack of family backstory for Applejack, but overall, Season 6 turned out to be one of the best seasons of the entire series, and I have great hopes for what we will see this next season. On that note, let's move on to my Season 7 wish list. First up, the Changelings. One of the biggest questions on anyone's mind is what will happen to the newly reborn Changeling race. Will they attempt to peacefully coexist with the ponies and other creatures of Equestria, or will they leave to establish their own nation somewhere beyond Equestria's borders? I, for one, would like to see them stick around, because there are still far too many unanswered questions about their race, but I think there may be some trials that they will face as they attempt to settle into their new lifestyle. At the very least, Thorax's friendship with Spike wasn't really given enough screen time last season, so I'm hoping to see that expanded on at some point. Next up, Starlight Glimmer. Starlight was clearly a character of primary focus last season, and her journey ultimately led to her overcoming her fears of making the same mistakes as she had in the past and rediscovering her talent as a leader. One can't help but notice that she seems to be heading towards a major role of some kind, just as Twilight did at the end of Season 3. I don't necessarily think that Starlight is going to become an Alicorn princess like Twilight, but I do feel like she's going to become even more of a main character this next season. We've seen a lot of world building taking place over the last few seasons, so who knows what might be in store. All I know is that I definitely want to see Starlight be able to graduate from Twilight's tutelage and become the hero we want her to be. Number 3, Trixie and Discord. While Discord has previously taken part in major world events, Trixie most certainly has not. I thought her story was done after No Second Prances, and was shocked to see her assume a main character role for the Season 6 finale. With this once secondary character turned fan favorite now thrust into the spotlight, my hope is that we will continue to see her take part in upcoming events. To what extent this might happen, I have no idea, but I certainly wouldn't mind seeing her and Discord put on a magic show together. As for Discord himself, he's clearly proving to be a valuable ally to Equestria, yet we still haven't really gotten to see him unleash his full power. It seemed like we were heading that direction in the Season 6 finale, but with his magic being nullified, we instead got to see how he was able to handle himself without his powers. At some point, I'd like to see him stop goofing around and actually use his powers seriously. Perhaps if great harm were ever to come to Equestria again in the future, that would be the point at which we'd finally get to see that. Number 4, back up on the wish list for this season, the Celestia Slice of Life episode. Let me be clear, this needs to happen. Celestia has simply been ignored for far too long in this show, and we need to know more about her. The bits we saw of her last season were great, but frankly she deserves her own episode. That said, there needs to be a good story around it, so I can only hope that the writers have finally listened to the fans and have come up with a great story in which Celestia can finally show all of us what daily life is like for her. Number 5, families again. With the events of last season, I'm now down to basically 2 items on the topic of the main 6's families. Where is Rainbow Dash's family? And what happened to Applejack's parents? I really want to see both of these questions answered, and I'm hoping the second one will finally give us that Applejack song I've been waiting for. Number 6 is another callback to last season's wish list, namely the Cutie Mark Crusaders. As previously mentioned, I'd like to see the CMCs be able to move beyond Ponyville in their quest to find ponies who need their help. I would especially love it if they were somehow called by the Cutie map, but perhaps that's a bit too much to ask. Also, one of the other remaining elephants in the room for the series is the topic of Scootaloo's lack of flight and parents. I'm sure there are quite a few people watching this show who can relate to either being disabled or being an orphan. These are definitely tough issues to tackle in a kids show, but I'm hoping that the writers will finally get to these topics, because Scootaloo's story deserves to finally be heard. Number 7, Elements of Harmony. Obviously the elements still exist as part of the Tree of Harmony and tie into the Cutie map as well, but it has now been 2 full seasons since their powers have been visibly used, with the last instance being the rainbow powers at the end of Season 4, and it is unclear whether that power is even still accessible to the main 6. Of course, we have seen the elements used in the Equestria Girls franchise, but that's in another world, and honestly, those events have raised far more questions than they've answered. I understand that the elements can quite easily be overused as an easy fix for problems, which is likely why the writers stepped away from them, but I for one would like to see them brought back into the spotlight again, as I feel there's more to the elements than just what we've seen thus far. And who could forget about Flurry Heart? The arrival of a newborn baby alicorn caused quite a stir in Equestria as well as in the fandom. She certainly made quite an impression in the series premiere, and I was really looking forward to seeing what the writers had in store for her, but sadly, after the premiere, she only appeared 2 other times last season in cameo roles, in The Times They Are a Changeling and the season finale. With practically no character development for her thus far, we're left wondering what her presence means for the future of Equestria. As far as I'm concerned, for the moment, she is not yet a princess, as that is a title that must be earned, regardless of race. Still, I can't help but think she's going to have a much larger role at some point, so I am really hoping that they will further her story somehow in Season 7. The trick is going to be developing her character while she's still a foal, as characters in the show don't seem to age very quickly. The last item on my wish list is in regards to world events. For several seasons now, we've been seeing Equestria steadily building up a list of allies. This story thread was added to once again, with Celestia speaking to Thorax about establishing relations with the newly reborn changeling race. Also, for the first time ever in this show, we have an antagonist, namely Queen Chrysalis, who has not only returned once, but has vowed to return again a 3rd time for some serious payback over her first 2 failures. It really feels like we may be heading for an actual war at some point, one that will require Equestria to call upon her allies. Perhaps this will be a series finale for whenever Friendship is Magic finally ends. The problem is, Chrysalis is extremely weakened right now with the loss of most of her underlings, and it's unclear how she will be able to return again. This is a bit of a stretch, but I'm hoping that she will find a way to restore Sombra and team up with him for a big showdown, because he has the least amount of character development out of all the antagonists on this show. Well, there you have it. There are honestly quite a few things I'm looking forward to this season, far too many to list here, but these are some of the biggest things on my mind right now. Given that Season 6 kind of left us on a cliffhanger, which is another first for this show, I'm hoping that Season 7 is going to start with a bang. I think it has the potential to be one of the greatest seasons yet, and I can't wait to see what the premiere has in store for us. I hope you will all tune back in next weekend, when we finally get to see what's coming next for Equestria.